Welcome to Anything and Nothing podcast, where we talk about a little bit of anything and a whole lot of nothing. Today I have Vashawne Alexander here with me. Welcome.
Thank you.
Definitely appreciate you coming on. And Vashawne is a founder of Trash in the Truck. It's a local junk removal company. So we'll definitely get into the business side of the business aspect of his life. But before we get into that, man, I do just want to kind of get to know you a little bit. So where are you from?
I'm from Camden, South Carolina.
Okay, born and raised?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. So how was life coming up here? What parts of Camden were you raised in?
Poncetti Trail, close to, North Central. And all
Oh, okay. You out there in the country?
Yes, sir. Country boy. Yes,
That's
sir.
What's up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm from that same area, but I think I'm quite older than you. How old are you right now?
28.
28. Cool. And so what's your family life look like? You got kids?
I don't have any of my own. My old lady, she has 2 daughters. I love them like they're my own. So,
yeah. That's cool. I've done that a couple times. I don't have any kids myself either. I'm working on it though.
Right.
So it's always a process. So you're married?
Not yet.
Okay. Y'all engaged? You working on it?
Working on it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Working on it.
Okay. So born and raised in Camden. I got a family. Like what kind of got you into the business aspect? What made you want to decide to become an entrepreneur?
I love working for myself. I never really cared to, work for anyone else.
Did you ever work for somebody else?
Yes.
Okay, so you had some jobs and just like, yeah, not for me.
More than a few. Ain't
nothing wrong with that. What got you into the junk hauling business specifically?
Well, it was one day I have a buddy. I was just, chilling at home, and she called me. Was like, "Hey, I need some help. You got anything to do?" So, I didn't have anything to do. Went up to help her, and just something about it I fell in love with. That very first day, and it was like a calling right then and there. I just did my research and got to studying, and just made it from putting it on my own perspective. So
okay. How would it how was starting the business out like? What did that look like?
So believe it or not, when I first started the business, I had no intentions of going broad as I did. Only thing I really wanted to do was just pick up trash around Camden.
I gotcha.
And I had a buddy. She pretty much was like, "You can take this and go big with it if you really put your mind into it."
Yeah.
And literally, like the first 2 days, I wanted to give up on it. And she was just like, "You got something. You got something potentially to go big. They can go spread out." So
yeah.
Grace.
So how long you been doing this?
February 4th was 4 years this year.
Oh wow, okay, cool. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And is that basically your sole
Bread and
method
butter.
of work? That's what I'm talking about, man. Cool. So where'd the name Trash in the Truck come from? It's catchy.
It just popped in my head, honestly. It just popped in my head. No fancy thing to it. It was just like, boom, trash in the truck.
Right. Hey, put the trash into the truck, man. It's pretty straightforward, right?
Yes, sir.
Where all do you serve?
From South Carolina to Florida. I have contracts from South Carolina to Florida.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
And is it just junk removal? Do you do like regular waste disposal stuff too? Or?
I do hoarder houses, inside, outside clean outs, evictions.
Okay, cool.
Pressure washing, lawn care, moving services as well.
Okay, cool.
I've done a couple of paint jobs here and there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever bitten off more than you can chew, or felt like that?
Sometimes it feels like that, but that's when the okay, you got it. Don't get overwhelmed. That's when that, as I like to call it, the athletic side come. I've always been taught, don't start something if you're not gonna finish it.
That's 100% right. Yeah, my dad taught me that too.
So anything I start, I finish.
Yeah.
So yes, sir.
And another thing he left me with was, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. I'm sure that's a common quote people hear too. Okay, so what's your earliest memory of, like, what was your first paycheck like with that? Like, what did that feel like?
The first paycheck, it felt great. It felt great knowing that I made it on my own. It wasn't handed. It was, I worked for it just like any other paycheck anybody else gets,
Right, something you earned.
You earned it. So,
Okay.
but to earn a paycheck from something that the good Lord blessed me with, that's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different feeling.
For sure.
So, it's just, it's a cool feeling.
How do you find business?
I'm a big marketing person. Even before I started my business, I worked for a company where I had the pleasure to travel all over the United States. Even before I started my business, I knew I wanted to start a business.
Right.
So I went to home shows, marketing shows where entrepreneurs was there. So I kept a stack of cards. And, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Didn't know what I wanted to start. All I know is I had like 500 plus business cards.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah.
And, when I found out what I wanted to do, I just reached out. reached out.
Yeah.
Let them know, where I remember you from.
Yeah.
And just let them know what I'm doing, what I'm building, what I'm starting. So,
Yeah.
One entrepreneur know the other entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So, grace of God, it just went left and right.
Okay, cool. That's actually there was a guy, I can't remember his name, and I'm terrible with quotes, but there was a guy that was discussing networking and how important it was to build relationships and stuff like that. And you basically described exactly what he said to do, so that's pretty cool, man. That's nice to see that work out for you. At what point, like, I know you say you always wanted to work for yourself, but was there a specific aha moment where you was like, yeah, I need to make this transition, or what? How did you get bit by the entrepreneurship bug?
My cousin OJ, he's somebody that I always looked up to. He's a go-getter. He's always been somebody that been tech savvy, know how to get, extra income.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He's a hustler.
Yeah. He's a hustler. And so, I've always admired him, and, he's somebody that means a lot, showed me a lot, taught me a lot, and he just gravitated towards him.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I imagine this started as kind of like a side hustle. That's how most businesses start. Does that sound about right? Mm-hmm. When did it transition from a side hustle to, like, this is it full time?
The first couple of months, it was like a side hustle. Those first couple of months was those months where, again, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to take it.
Yeah.
But I knew it was something that I had to, put forth the effort into it.
Right.
I have one of those businesses that, just like any other business, not just mine, it don't start, you don't do it overnight.
Right.
You don't do it overnight. It takes time. And, my way of doing it, I had to, I just had to put in the work.
Yeah.
And sometimes that work just take a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I've always learned that, you have to be your first employee. Right. As a business owner. So, I was my first employee. I was my first everything for the business. So, grace of God, I just, put it forth in the effort. Right. And 4 years later.
All right, cool. I think that's something good to talk about, like scaling a business. Mm-hmm. They say that is kind of how it goes. You're the only employee. You got to do all the jobs, and then. So did you kind of assess as you went along which jobs were the least value added but took the most amount of time and just start hiring for those types of things?
My first year that I was in business, it was just me.
Yeah.
It was just me. And I dealt with crazy jobs. I dealt with crazy jobs. But I knew deep down inside that was the time where I had to show myself why I wanted to do it.
Right.
I had to show myself why I was capable of.
Yeah.
And the hard work. And so, due time, I had to hire people.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it all by myself. So,
right. How'd you manage to stay motivated in the beginning?
I knew my why. My why was my biggest thing. I knew my motivation, and I knew deep down that I didn't want to, go back to 9 to 5.
Right.
And that's, by all means, that's, I tell people that's not bashing 9 to 5s at all.
Yeah, 100%.
I grew up with a single mama.
Yeah.
I grew up with a mama that I never had to ask for anything,
right,
because of a 9 to 5. So
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But sometimes the good Lord bless you with something and put something in you that hey, taking it up a notch.
Right, for sure. He does elevate that. I believe
sir.
That as well. And something I talk about frequently as well. What's the worst that can happen if you do go out on a venture like that? Oh,
Why not try?
You lose everything, and then you go back to working a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what's that matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's it matter?
Give it your best. Give it a try.
That's right. And did you ever reach a point where you thought about quitting?
Yes.
Well, tell me about that.
Like I said, literally the first day when I went to door knock around Camden, it was like, everybody was like, oh no, I don't need to do all that because, a dump is right up the street. A dump is 5 minutes away.
Right.
Why waste that money? It was like, man, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that, that's going to go somewhere? But like I said, I had people that was like, hey, you need to take it up a notch. You need to really understand what you got in front of you and pretty much just go for it.
Pour into it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you overcome those objections as you received them? Did you practice at all, like anything as far as dealing with objections, kind of like what realtors do?
Well, honestly, I grew up from sales. I sold cars. Okay. I sold solar, ADT.
Okay, yeah.
I did leaf guard. So
yeah.
I've objections was a thing that I had to overcome and I had to learn. So
100%. So I heard you mention your big why before, and that's I believe, what's that from? The one thing is that is that where you got that from? Okay, cool. So what is your one thing, if you don't mind sharing? What is your big why?
My big why is I know where I come from. I know. I like to say this. 4 years ago, I almost lost my life to a congestive heart failure.
Oh wow!
And it was. I dealt with a lot at the time. It was just. I really dealt with. Went through depression. A lot of stuff happened. Mentally, but like I said, I ended up in the hospital. Almost clocking out, and as I was in the hospital, there was enough time to reflect, as a person, it was like, at that time I started my business, and at that time I got sick. Yeah. So I made a promise to myself that I was gonna get healthy, I was gonna do right. And I got something that I needed to prove. I have a story that I need to tell. Right. And so 4 years later, I'm a big healthy guy, not 100% healed yet. I still have my days, but, the good Lord done blessed me, and, I thank him every day for it. I thank him every day for the business. Right. And I know what it's like to overcome it. I know what it's like. I know what it feels like to almost lose it all.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like that's my big motivation to not give up.
Okay, I think that puts things in perspective when you have something like that happen to you. So was your family super supportive?
Yes.
Like, I'm sure it was stressful when you got sick.
Absolutely.
Who's been the most supportive out of all, if you had to pick one? Not to put you on the spot.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't really give you a certain person.
They've all been super supportive.
But I will say this: I have a great family. I have a great mother.
Yeah.
You know, I have one of those mothers that, you know, that love a baby, a big baby.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I actually know your mother pretty well, and I agree with you. She's awesome. So that's cool. And what did they think whenever you, like your mother and your girl, what did they think whenever you started the business? Like, what were they supportive of that too?
They were big supporters, and they still are. And it's just been a blessing, you know, and just and I want to do it for them. I want to do it for my moms. You know, my moms. You know, like I said, single mama raising 2 kids. It's been times where, you know, especially during the holiday season, Christmas season, she had to pick up a little side job just so Christmas can go good. You know, and she went to college. You know, so.
Is she who you call when you have like a hard day?
Her and my pops.
Okay.
Her and my pops. You know, first my pops, then her. But at the same time, it's like, you know, they both give great advice, and I trust both of their, you know, decisions and their wording and what they tell me. So,
okay,
you know, yeah.
So you've been in it 4 years. Walk me through what Trashing the Truck is today. Like, what do you do day to day?
So day to day, every morning, you know, I have so many jobs that we do now, and every morning I like to post on my business page. I like to have a group meeting with my guys every morning. This is the game plan. This is what we got to do. This is what's coming up.
Right.
And so, you know, just to prepare them, let them know how the day is about to go. So, you know, I post my pictures. You know, I'm part of a lot of groups on Facebook.
Yeah, I share a lot too.
Yeah. So I post pretty much on all the groups, you know, just to promote.
Yeah.
Like this week right here, I'm about to go to, you know, real estate companies, you know, Camden, Columbia, Florence, and all that, you know, just to do my regular, you know, my regular, you know, contact information route, as I call it.
You talk to like property managers and stuff as well. That'd probably be a good niche for you, I'd imagine. You know, getting with people that manage the rentals, because whenever they got an eviction, they can call you to get everything out. Okay, cool. So it sounds like your day's kind of structured similar to mine. You do a lot of marketing, lead generation, that type stuff, and then you start biting off the apple. Now that you have a team of people, how is it managing folks now? Like, how does that feel different than when you started day one? It was all you.
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling knowing that I got a team that I can trust. Okay. And that's the big thing for me. I have a great team. I can brag about them all day. Yeah. I really can, man. I don't have anything bad to say about them. Good. You know, I trust them. They trust me. Yeah. You know, I call them my extended family. Okay. You know, one thing that I pride myself in, you know, we have a day or two out the week that we go out to eat. Yeah. You know, we'll go bowling. We'll go to arcades and stuff like that. I'm a big kid at heart, so, you know. I'll say don't lose that, man. I think a lot of companies, whenever they get bigger and bigger and start to grow, like they just start to lose sight of the person that's working there. So that's something I've noticed. So do you have any what's your like I said, I know you're servicing from South Carolina all the way down to Florida now. Do you have any other types of expansion plans for the future? Yes. I want to go to California. Okay. Eventually. I have big plans for this. I want to make it a franchise instead of a small business. Okay, cool. And I'm working day by day to make that happen. And I'm giving myself the next 5 years to make that happen. Okay, so I imagine you're doing a lot of collection of
data, price points, things like that, so you can put together a packet for folks to say, hey, you want to buy onto a franchise? Is that kind of what you're working on now?
Not quite that. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I'm still at the
planning out.
Yeah,
I got you.
Pretty much planning out. Yeah.
Okay. And why California in particular? You just somewhere you wanted to be?
California is one of those places. That's one, obviously it's big.
Yeah.
Two, it's a lot of opportunity out there.
Okay.
And three, from South Carolina to California, that's a big stride.
Right.
That's a big stride. So I wanna do it.
Yeah. Have you ever considered, or maybe you already have, like looked into government contracts?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm getting there. I am getting there. But right now, I just wanna. I'm a step by step kind of guy.
Yeah.
I wanna do what I can and expand and grow.
Yeah.
Every step matters pretty much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've actually got a good friend that he's retired recently, but he made a good bit of money. That wasn't really a junk hauling company. It was a metal recycling company, metal hauling company, and he got some government contracts with some military bases and government offices and things like that. He'd come in and remove the file cabinets, the other scrap metal and stuff that they had, take that to the metal recycling. They would pay him to come get this metal. He would take the metal to the metal recycling place and then get money from that side too. So, something to consider, man. It's we can talk more offline about it if you want some more information, or maybe I can give you his information, because he likes to see people grow too.
Yes, sir.
But there's a website you can go to. I think it's sam.gov or sams.gov, and it shows you all the different contracts available. So it might be something worth looking into, man.
Okay.
Maybe get a little expansion,
Okay.
Let's do it. So, all right. So we talked a bit about, I guess you came up as your mother was a single mother or whatever raising you. Did you have siblings?
I have a little brother.
Okay.
He just recently graduated last year from high school, and now he's at Winthrop University.
Oh, cool. So growing up, you were kind of like only child. He's relatively newer. Okay, cool. And how was it growing up? What was life day to day growing up? I mean, it sounded like, obviously she did the best she could. It sounded like it was a bit of a struggle from time to time. How'd you get through?
Just being there for her.
Yeah.
Just being there for her. I was the type that, I didn't mind working.
Yeah.
And when I say work, you need your grass cut.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I learned at the early age, hey, you want to make money, go get it.
That's right.
So, as a boy growing up in the country, I learned hard work. I learned work ethic, and I have a grandfather that, Saturday mornings he up working on the yard.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So,
I find yard work to be peaceful, man. Like people tell me, folks tell me all the time, especially like when I got into real estate, they're like, you need to hire somebody to do your lawn so you can have more time to do these other things. I'm like, man, even being able to afford somebody to do the lawn, I like doing the work. I mean, my grass is tall right now because I just get so busy. I probably need somebody in reserve for moments like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I get so busy, it's hard to get it done. But I just, man, it's like something so serene about cutting the grass and
it's like woosah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I do too. So what's your favorite type of work? I mean, obviously you enjoy what you're doing. You say so. You seem pretty adamant about that. What do you like about it? Just seeing the final product?
I love the final product, especially in these courthouses.
Yeah, I've seen the before afters, man. It's pretty crazy. So like once you get everything out of there, and I see the pictures you take. Like what's that feel like?
The beginning feeling, it's like, oh man, it's like whew. Every job that I do, I spray around the house. Yeah. And then I bomb the house.
Right.
And then it's like every step you take at the beginning, it's like, oh, if I gotta move this, what's under there?
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I moved the bed. Oh, I didn't see you there. Where were you, sir? Yeah.
What's the craziest type of critter you've encountered?
I did one job in Colombia, and I seen close to 60 dead cats.
Oh God, that's crazy.
60 dead. I've seen cats in the freezer.
Wow.
I've seen cats in the washing machine.
Yeah.
I've seen cats in the oven.
That's one of the first rules that I learned as a realtor is if you go to a house and especially if it's like a something that you think is probably an investment property and there's a refrigerator, do not open the refrigerator.
Let me tell you, I didn't even necessarily wanted to open the refrigerator. We was just moving it,
and it just opened up, and then the cat just fell on out.
Oh, real!
Was the person that owned that property like deceased or something? Like, how did that happen?
I met them. They told me straight up, and before we got in there, they was like, "I'm gonna let you know something. You know, my daughter had over 100 cats.
Oh
in
God!
His house.
Yeah."
And again, I seen 60 of them. It was like 60 of them.
That's crazy, man.
Dead.
Yeah, that's wild.
And opening the door. When I first opened the door, I've been doing this for 4 years again. I've seen crazy stuff, man. But to smell something like that is something that was like, man.
I'm sure at this point you probably got the iron stomach.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Oh.
And it's like, that was the worst smell. That was the worst smell. As far as smell, that was the worst one I did.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, death has a distinct smell, especially when it sits in stews and simmers and it's something in an enclosed case. I made the mistake. I was told the grand rule about the real estate not opening the fridge, and I made the mistake of opening the fridge. I learned quick, like, do not open the fridge.
Don't open the fridge.
Yeah. So what else did you kind of encounter? Do you ever have a problem with like snakes or anything like that?
Believe it or not, I've never encountered a snake.
That's awesome, man.
I've never encountered a snake, not one time.
Yeah, I've never seen snakes in houses. I hear they get under houses from time to time. That's why I never really got into air conditioning repair, because I know you got to deal with the duct work and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm too fat to go to the house.
Hey, you losing weight, man. It'd be all right.
Yeah, but I can lose all the way over. I'm still not going there. I'm not going.
I don't blame you, bro. I ain't trying to go under the houses either. Is there any job, speaking of that, like, is there any job like that you ever looked at and was like, nah, I'm not doing this one?
Man, it was one. Matter of fact, it was my very first order house. I'm going to say I attempted.
Yeah.
We got to the house. Again, we talking about snakes, which is crazy.
Yeah.
When we first got there, all you heard was the S sound.
Oh man. Yeah, nah, we're not dealing with that.
As soon as I seen that, I told the owners, I said, come on, man.
You need to call exterminator.
Or either bomb it, get it demolished. Yeah, we not going in here.
Yeah.
We're not going in here.
Did the owner seem to know that there were snakes there?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. No problems with bees or anything like that before? Yeah. Man, I don't like snakes either, man. I think that's a human nature type thing. But I've only ever really encountered a snake, like, surprise, here's a snake, one time before, and that's when I cleared my land back there. Because I actually had my mom help me clear my land. She helped me out. We cut the trees down, burning, all that good stuff. And there was just this one, I don't remember what it was. There was this one thing, I flipped it over and there was a snake, and I was like, oh my God, I got a shovel and dealt with it. You know what I mean?
I was at the dump right up the street, and just putting my trash out there, and just so happened, I just looked, right in the corner. It was just something that was just hauling tail. Oh, how you doing, sir? Yeah,
you stay over there.
Yeah, stay over there, man. Yeah, I ain't gonna hurt you. Don't come this way either.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned in the past 4 years of your business? Something that you never would have thought. If you could tell somebody that's aspiring entrepreneur, like, some of the pitfalls. What are some of the things that you found out the hard way?
Don't be so quick to give up.
Yeah.
when you're in the beginning stage, know that sometimes it's gonna get hard. Know that your battles, your situations that you're gonna encounter, is pretty much gonna be you versus you.
Yeah.
You decide if you wanna continue, or you decide that you wanna go the other way.
That's right.
It all depends on you. It all depends on how bad you want it. It all depends on, if you really, really want it or not.
Right.
Some people's story different than others, but again, you got to know your why.
Yeah.
And those days, those times when it's tough, always remember your why.
Right.
And I can promise on everything I love, when you don't give up, and first and foremost, when you put God in it, and you stay prayed up, even those bad days, you're gonna look back at it and be like, man, look how far I came.
Yeah.
Again, I've been doing it for 4 years. I'm a full-time entrepreneur for 4 years, and I've been blessed. I've been blessed, man. And I tell any entrepreneur, anybody that ever thought about going into entrepreneurship, man, go for it.
Right.
And as I always say, stop thinking about the money part.
Yeah, the money will come with the time if you got a business that people actually need help with.
And it's not even that what I'm talking about. That's true, yes. But what I'm saying is, everybody think that it takes a lot of money to start.
Right.
It does not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it don't take money.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
I started, I'll be honest with you, and I say it publicly, man. I didn't start with an LLC.
Yeah.
I didn't start with no insurance.
Right.
Hey, I wanted some money in my pocket.
That's right.
I wanted some money in my pocket. But once I got into contracts and working with realtors,
yeah,
I had to start signing these contracts.
The
LLC and insurance. I had to hurry up and get there.
And that stuff ain't as expensive as people think either. I mean, the insurance can vary based on what you're doing, but like establishing an LLC, getting the EINs free, like a lot of that stuff, and then sometimes you can get help from the government through grants and things like that.
Yes, you can.
So that's cool. So what has been like one of the hardest challenges about the business? What do you think has been the biggest barrier to entry for you, like, or what's held you back the most?
What's held me back the most, man? What's held me back the most,
if anything?
Man, I really can't think of that, man.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. And it's probably because you got God in it too, man.
Yeah.
You talked about God a little bit. What kind of brought you to your religious beliefs?
I'm a preacher's kid.
Oh, okay.
I'm a preacher's kid.
Your father's a preacher?
My granddaddy, yes, sir.
Oh, your granddaddy, okay.
And not just him being a preacher's kid. I've dealt with so much in life. Sometimes you deal with so much in life, the only thing you could do is just call on him.
Yeah.
You try to work and you try to deal with stuff on your own, knowing that you can't deal with it. Just call on him.
Yeah, sometimes you got to. And being a solo entrepreneur and doing this for the past 4 years, how have you kept like the work-life balance intact?
I had no other choice. And what I mean by that is, I was just, me and my old lady, we was just talking about this the other week. She always be like, you're very balanced, and I told her straight up, my days when I'm in work mode, I'm in work mode. Mm-hmm. My days when it's time to relax, it's time to relax.
That's right.
Those my relaxed days are the days that, unless it's very, very, very important, the word work is a cuss word. The word work is a cuss word.
Yeah.
And I say that because you again, like you said, you gotta have a balance.
Yeah.
You gotta have a balance. And it was a point in time where all I thought about was work.
Right.
And it get mind consuming. It gets like, wow, man, wow. You get frustrated, anxiety. All the thing you think about is work. You try to have fun and you try to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And all you think about is work.
Yeah, I've been there.
So it's like, man, you gotta have that balance. You gotta have that balance. And I have that balance on the weekends.
Okay.
On the weekends, that's my time to, relax, enjoy the time with my family, and just to, as I say, Musa.
Do you pre-schedule like your time? Like I'm sure you gotta. I know with all the contracts you have to schedule out your work. Do you schedule out your play too, your relaxation too?
Well, again, like I said, on the weekends, I just
shut it down.
Just go for it. Yeah, I just shut it down. Man, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Unless a job come up,
something pressing.
Yeah.
Like urgent.
I never say no to a good job.
Yeah. Right. What do you call a good job? Like, is it what? How do you define, like, whenever you're looking at your jobs and you're bidding out your contracts, how do you decide which jobs are important ones versus which ones are okay to, maybe pass on if something came up, or at least lower priority, because I know you're not going to pass up on any of them. How do you prioritize that?
I look at it like this. If it's a big job, we know what a big job looks like.
Yeah.
You know what a big job looks like. But what I feel like is sometimes even the small jobs are big jobs.
Yeah, it's big to somebody.
And what I mean by that is, going on, doing this for 4 years, it's like, and I mean this with all the love in my heart. When a realtor call you, a big realtor call you, and you answer that call, and they know you and they know your work and they support your work, even those small jobs can turn into something big.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're going to promote it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from being a realtor, like I say, if you get a job with a specific client, it might be a small job here, but this might be an investor that has 6 other properties that need done. So things tend to compound. So that's good to have that foresight. So you started at 24, right? So what advice would you give to somebody that's considering stepping into entrepreneurship at the age of 24?
Do it.
It's just full sin.
Do it. Do it, man. Do it. When I started my entrepreneurship role, and this is where I messed up at. When I started, I started without having a plan B.
Yeah.
Everybody always say have a plan B in case of plan A don't work.
Yeah.
Well, like I said earlier, I got to the point where my plan A, I was about to quit on it.
Yeah.
Grace of God, I had people around me that told me, hey, think about what you're doing. Right. Think about what you're doing. And I just went in it, And another good thing that I'll tell anybody, have somebody that's gonna hold you accountable. Yeah, for sure. Some type of accountability structure. I have 2 mentors that I love very dearly. And if it wasn't for them, man, I don't know where I'd be. Yeah. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't know where I would be. And they are the type of mentors that, even me, I say it straight up, I love my family. Yeah. I'm a big family man. I love being around my family. Right. But sometimes you got to have that mentor that ain't family that becomes family because they give you that love. You got somebody that's going to be blunt with you and honest with you. Yes. And keep you on track. Yes. And I'm not saying the family ain't gonna be blunt with you.
Yeah.
But you gotta have that person that walked in your shoes.
Yeah.
That know what it's like to, or go through what you've been going through, and just, give them that grace, and just have somebody there, man.
Yeah. You kind of had the opposite problem I had, man. I think there's two spectrums that you can land on whenever you start thinking about going into business for yourself. And there's the folks that just full send, go straight into it with no type of plan, no, and just know that this is what I want to do, so this is what I'm gonna do. And then you got folks like me that overthink it, and that's why I didn't start until you started at 24. I didn't start till I was in my 40s. You know what I mean? Or well, my late 30s, I should say. I'm 41 now, so I've been doing business for a while now, probably about the same amount of time, 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something they call analysis paralysis,
mm-hmm.
where you can actually take too much time and overthink too much and plan too much, and
mm-hmm.
and you don't get nothing done. So I think I think for me that you're right. You need to step into it. You need to have some sort of semblance of a plan, but just make sure you do something. You know what I mean? You just got to do it, man.
Do it.
So it sounds like your lady's pretty supportive. How'd you meet her?
Believe it or not, I met her on Facebook. Not gonna lie to you.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
I met her on Facebook, and I shot my shot with her, and I knew I wanted her with the first conversation we had.
Okay.
She's a school teacher at Westwood.
Okay.
So how they say love at first sight. I guess that's what it was.
Okay.
Man.
Nice. That's what's up, man.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why when I hear Westwood, I think Crestwood. You're talking about like in Columbia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, somebody else was talking about Westwood last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you guys have been together pretty much since you started the business, or was it before then?
Oh, it was after we've been together about 16 months now.
Okay, cool.
About 16 months, yeah.
Sounds good, man. And she's been super supportive.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And how is it? I've actually stepped in those shoes before, where you're like the stepdad. How's that working out for you?
I love it. It's nothing like going home and waking up. Hey, I'm hungry. Let's go. What y'all cooking?
Yeah.
Or just having those movie nights, man, where we all just cuddle up and going to different places and stuff.
Right.
It's a great feeling.
Okay.
It's a great feeling.
What's been the best advice anybody's given you, like just life in general advice? Not necessarily business advice. It can be business advice, but what's the best advice somebody's ever given you?
Look yourself in the mirror and realize who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who gave you that?
My dad.
Your dad?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your dad do?
He's about to retire, literally in the next couple of weeks. But he works at it's a plant called Covidian. It's a cotton plant.
Okay.
Behind Piggly Wiggly.
Gotcha.
He's been there 40 plus years.
Oh wow.
Well, he's been a supervisor for 40 plus years. He's about to retire here within the next couple of weeks. So, which I'm excited about. That's more time with him.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, because my dad just retired, and when I asked my dad before he retired, I was like, man, what are you planning on doing with your time? Because something I've noticed, and I could be off base with this, but a lot of folks, whenever they retire, if they don't have something to do, they die. Mm-hmm. And I do not want that for my dad. I love my dad to death. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Same thing for my mom. She's about to retire. Mm-hmm. So have you asked that question to him at all yet?
I'm not going to ask that until he retires. But what I am, and I've been wanting to ask this for so long. I want him to help me out with the business.
Yeah. So That's kind of where I went with it. Like my dad, I asked my dad this question. He was like, I don't know. I guess fish. I'm like, dude, you can only fish for so long, Dad. Like at some point you're gonna be like, man, I'm tired of fishing. You know what I'm saying?
But see, here's the thing with my pops. He don't sit down.
Oh, okay. He stays busy.
He stays busy.
Yeah.
And, him being a pastor, one of his biggest things that he talks about now is, once he retires, he's going to have more time, involving in the church. It's so much to do in the church. It's so much, to be involved in. And, I'm excited. I'm definitely excited about him being retired because, we have a small church.
Yeah.
And what I want to do personally, as far as church, I haven't said anything to him about it. Is I want to get a couple of guys, get a couple young men, and teach them how to tie a tie. Business,
right?
Business etiquette.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur. Just be a figure.
Starting a mentor type program.
Just be a figure.
That would be something good to do. You kind of brought me to that whole line of questioning because, like you said, I want to get my dad involved in my businesses, and that was initially the entire goal. In fact, I bought a 40-foot flatbed trailer and a truck for him to drive, so he'd have that to do. And now, we got a little bit done with it, but now my mom's about to retire, so I'm trying to figure out, what she's gonna want to do. Like I said, they're chilling right now. They're with the grandkids and doing all this stuff, but the grandkids don't live here, so eventually that's gonna not be something for them to do, and eventually they're gonna get bored. And I need to have a plan in place because I want them to stick around as long as possible. Okay, if you could go back in time and change one thing about your life, or if anything, or if you could go back in time and tell yourself, hey, this is a mistake or something like that, what do you think that would be?
I feel like everything happens for a reason. I feel like you had to go through that to get to where you are now.
Right. Everything builds.
Everything happens for a reason. If that didn't happen, you wouldn't learn this. If that didn't happen, you wouldn't learn this. It's either a lesson or a blessing, and sometimes that lesson is a blessing.
Yeah, 100%.
So I feel like everything happens. Everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing because it got me to where I'm at today.
Okay. That's a good way to look at it, man.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you 100%. I feel that same way. So when it's all said and done, though, what do you want to be remembered for?
A man of God, a man of positivity, and just being Sean, man.
Yeah.
Just being Sean,
You're definitely a positive.
Yeah.
You got a positive vibe, and that's why I like to have you around. That's why I reached out to you.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you want to? We're at about an hour in. I try to keep this at about an hour.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout out your businesses or anything, your social medias and everything? I'm gonna put it down below so you guys can see it. But you want to just shout it out real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys can go on Facebook, Trash Into Truck.
Come on.
That that handsome big man right there, that big baby face right there.
Yeah.
Go on Trash in the Truck. Like, follow, share, reach out. I do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of stuff. If you guys need any help, hey, give us a call. 803-713-5841.
Okay. Cool. Again, I'll have his contact information down below. That's been Vashawne Alexander, founder of Trash in the Truck. Thank you again for coming on, man.
I appreciate you.
Appreciate it. If you guys want to come on the show, like I said, make sure you go to www.anythingandnothingpodcast.com/b-a-guest. Fill out that form. I'll reach out to you, and I'll bring you into my home, sit you across from me, and we'll have a conversation. There's more ways to listen than YouTube, but it would really help me out if you guys would subscribe. So make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share. If there's something you like, tell me. If something you don't like, tell me. I want feedback. I enjoy doing this, and I'm going to continue doing this. So if I'd be happy to hear any feedback that you may have. I'd be happy to talk to anybody that wants to come on. If you have a business you want to promote, if you have something you're passionate about, you want to drive, feel free to come on and have a conversation with me. But outside of that, I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you again for coming on, Vashawne.
Thank you.
All right, well, have a good one, guys.